Hey there, y'all. It's Juliet Miranda with the Unwritable Rant podcast, and you are listening to my besties and the world's greatest shit starters, Brand X Podcast.
All right, you guys, podcast time. We got the equipment and the perfect business plan. Give our show away for free and tell no one how to find it. Ready?
Welcome to another episode of the Brand X Podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, John. Alongside me is Deuce.
Who wants chowder?
Como esta, bitches?
I don't want any chowder, to be quite honest with you. And I'll tell you what I'm really thankful for after Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for the first time in my life not to be Matt Lauer.
Mm.
Woo. You want to talk about a fall from... That was amazing. Like, that happened so fast. And so suddenly...
They had to be pretty credible accusations for it to go that fast.
Yeah, but I mean, just the way that NBC did it, and we're going to get into this because this seems to go back a ways. This story goes back a ways, and it's got an interesting twist to it because the guy who broke the story about Harvey Weinstein went to NBC with this story, and they wouldn't do it.
About Matt or about Weinstein?
Weinstein. But I think what happened was they were afraid that, he was going to, because there was also allegations against Matt Lauer. So they were trying to protect him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, ever since this Harvey Weinstein thing is hit, it's like they're dropping like
Hollywood's eating its own.
Yeah, they're dropping like dump rats.
Did you push the record button?
Why don't I push the record button? God damn you, John.
I damn thee.
I damn thee. Why do you ask that like 20 minutes? Why don't you ask that
20 minutes? We weren't that long ago.
Did you push the record button yet? So stupid. Well, there's a story behind that too. I bought this SD card that I use to record with my digital recorder.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a 32 gigabyte SD card, a big one. And of course, that thing went bad. So now I have to use Cast. Well, the problem is I have so much crap up on my screen here that Cast is behind
a window.
It's behind, and I never see it.
You got to get another monitor.
Another monitor?
You got to get one of those split monitors, like you see, so you can throw things over to the side.
Well, here's the other thing. The other thing is that now that Joe's not here anymore,
mm-hmm.
I get my laptop back, so I can.
There you are.
I can use that. Matter of fact, we could actually have people call into the show now because I can use Skype and the phone number from Skype and have them call right into the show.
Okay.
So that can happen too. So now that I don't have this, SD card, I have to use Cast.
If you were to do that, how would that work? Would you get a different number each time, or
no? It would be the same number. We would have the same number.
The show number. Okay.
Yeah, it would be the show number, and they would call in on it. And look, we already have people in the chat room. Brian Tulip Jr. is in the chat room already.
Hey, what's up, Brian?
So yeah, well, if I have two monitors, I won't be able to see you. I have to pitch this one monitor to the right. Now that Joe's not here,
mm-hmm.
we might have to move you over here and then get a different camera angle.
Okay.
I
don't know how that'll work with that monstrous screen that you have. Where would you put the camera?
Over there, and then you would sit where Joe was, and we would have it here, and then everything would be. But I was going to work on it tonight, but
mm-hmm.
I can't move the camera.
It's a two-man job.
It's a two-man job.
You'd have to sit there.
Sit there and look at it. And,
yeah, we'll have to work on it.
We'll work on it. It's a work in progress.
You don't need that pole there. We take that right out. It would open up all the camera
angles.
House
would fall in on itself.
That's just a suggestion, isn't it?
Right. Just a suggestion.
They knock that right the fuck out.
They just decided to put a pole in the middle of the room.
Arbitrarily pole placement.
No reason. In case there was a stripper that might have wandered in and needed a place to work out.
Is that a regulation pole?
I don't think so. I think the pole's a little wide. I don't think it's a regulation pole. So
Matt Lauer.
So all of a sudden, I forget what happened. I was up early that morning, and I got a thing across my screen that says Matt Lauer fired for, sexual misconduct. I was like, you got to be kidding me. So I immediately turned the TV on just in time to watch them talk about it. And I got to tell you, that Savannah, she did a great job because she was, I mean, that had to be hard to do. I mean, it would be like somebody just coming in saying they, fired your best friend and you got to go on and talk about it and read a statement. And she choked back tears a little bit, but she went and read through the whole thing.
Yeah, she surrounded the wagons.
That's right.
Protect our own.
Well, so now he is really, I mean, the shit that's coming out about him is unbelievable.
Yeah, but you know how this is going to work.
Tell me how it's going to work.
No. Well, he's part of the liberal media, so in a year and a half to 2 years, he'll be back.
You think so? With this?
No, anybody. And Bill O'Reilly won't be back.
What about...
But he'll be back.
Oh, that's the other thing. They're playing all these clips where he was...
Yeah, he was asking those questions.
Going after him hard, like Bill O'Reilly and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And now, matter of fact, my favorite one is where they have Matt Lauer interviewing Matt Lauer about his sexual misconduct. So he's in the one chair,
that one. I'll have to check
and then the other chair is him in there, and he's like...
I remember the one of the more intense interviews I saw him doing. It wasn't about sexual harassment or anything like that. Remember when Tom Cruise went crazy?
Yes.
And he was talking about Brooke Shields' postpartum depression.
Yes.
And saying it's all made up.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like drilling Tom Cruise. After that, like Tom Cruise did horrible like on that, and he had to get a new publicist. Like he decided he was just going to do it his own, and then that's when we found out he's crazy because he's a Scientologist.
Oh, I mean, that wasn't your first clue.
Yeah, like he went like, well, it just goes to show you how hard the last publicist was working to keep him in control.
Right.
Because when he didn't have one,
he lost his mind.
Oh, it all came out. He just like.
Right. And that whole Scientology thing, that's a whole nother issue.
Well, who's that actress who was on The King of Queens?
Leah Remini.
Yeah, she's coming. I think that's how it's pronounced. She's been coming out and talking about a whole lot of secret rituals and stuff that they do.
Right.
And they're not happy about that over there at the L. Ron Hubbard Institute.
That they're all locking that down, that whole Scientology thing. That's almost. It is allegedly a cult. And, these people are leaving it. And I think that's why Tom can't keep a wife, because they get into that whole Scientology thing and they're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, a little crazy.
Yeah, I see where this is going.
I can't speak too much of this, not to sound like the Jimmy, but I know someone who has siblings that are Scientologists.
Okay.
And the parents are both gone. One of the parents just recently died, the last one. And now they're coming out like wolves
after
the money, and they're giving it to the Church of Scientology.
Oh, well, why wouldn't you?
It's like and they're basically like encroaching on this person's inheritance, and already about $70,000 has disappeared. There's no trace of it. It's
gone.
Just gone. So they're going through a hard time right now. So that's just like crazy greed.
Yeah, I mean. Well,
and that's what the cults are all about. It's just like it's the do-re-mi.
And, some people say that religion is a cult. Certain religions, or all religions, are a cult. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to get into the religion thing. I'd rather talk about politics than religion, to be quite honestly. And I don't want to talk about politics. So now this stuff is coming out about Matt. I mean, nobody's safe. I mean, well, here's the thing about Matt Lauer. So I see the whole thing goes down. They read the statement, and now everybody's reacting on social media. And I have a friend. She's like, I can't believe this. I woke up and watched him from 7 to 7:30 for the past 20 years. I'm devastated. I can't believe this. And, of course, I go to the Twitter, and now these women are defending him. Random woman, I saw a tweet where she said something about, well, when is innocent until proven guilty? When does that stop being a thing? And I said, well, you got to be pretty credible, and you can't have somebody, you can't wait for that to happen. If you're a company, now you're liable for damages. People can sue the company for all this, and that's what it's all about, to be quite honest with you. You got to... Did
they enable it?
Right.
Were they alerted to it?
Right.
Did they ignore it afterwards? That's the whole thing.
Absolutely.
I had to fire an employee because of that.
Sexual harassment?
Well, it was back in the early days of all this stuff. The Anita Hill and Clarence Thomas changed everything. The Supreme Court justice during the confirmation hearings. That changed everything. And then that's when a lot of these laws started to be enacted. And you didn't really need to be, all they had to do is just drop the allegation. And of course, through time, they keep moving the goalposts. Like before, it used to, the way, and you worked for a big company, so you probably had the same training. I sat through so many sexual harassment training sessions. But back then, it was basically, if they don't say anything to you, you could just keep it up. So if you said, hey, you look really great in those jeans today, and if you didn't say anything, you could just keep on saying it. The moment that a woman said, knock that off, then it became sexual harassment.
Right.
But now they just keep changing the alley. So I had a guy, he was dynamite, do anything. You know him. He worked for me, mopped the floor, cleaned the store up and everything. And then I had this girl that was working for me. And she made this allegation, which was probably unfounded. And I had to pull him aside, and I says, I had to let you go. And he says, I says, look, I mean, this girl isn't going to last long. I know she's destructive. She calls in late a lot. She's not a very good employee. I says, in time, there'll be enough rope, and she'll hang herself. She do no call, no show. I knew it was going to come. I says, but in the interim, because she made this allegation, I can't have you here because I've been made aware of it.
Right.
Right, wrong, or indifferent. As soon as I became made aware of it, I have to do something about it. And if I kept him there, then I can be liable.
Absolutely.
So I had to cut him loose, sadly.
Okay.
Well, within 2 months, she was gone. She just choked herself right out like I knew that she would.
And did you bring the other guy
Brought
back?
him back immediately.
Okay.
And then he was with me for like 2 years after that.
So now here, again.
It's not fair and it's not right.
There's two sides to the story. Mm-hmm. All right. So I was talking to somebody. She watched the show and, she was a big fan of Matt Lauer. And I remember, like I said, I went to Twitter and this woman said something. I said, oh, well, yeah, he was really a nice sexual predator. Not like those.
He was a charming sexual predator.
He was a very charming
Not
sexual
like that
predator.
horrible-looking Harvey Weinstein.
Or that guy from Alabama or the president of the United States.
What guy from Alabama?
Roy, what's his name? Roy Moore.
Oh, that's Georgia.
No, Roy Moore's Alabama.
I thought it was Georgia.
No, Alabama.
Okay.
Trust me, I know that one because I've been listening to all the jokes.
Okay.
Because, I don't want to get back. We'll talk. Yeah. Let's table that for a second.
Sure.
So now I'm talking to a friend of mine, and she says, you don't know what to do when something like that happens. And I go, well, what do you mean? She goes, well, she works in a big, she works in a hospital setting, okay?
Mm-hmm. And healthcare professional.
Yes, okay? And some guy she works with just texts her his dick. And, she's don't know what do you do when someone texts you a dick?
Well, it's unsolicited, so now he's fired.
Well, okay.
Where's the Mr. Spacely say, because that's what's going to happen to that guy.
Well, you would say that, okay?
You're fired!
Yeah. But she don't know what to do, and she's afraid that if she goes and makes a big deal of this, that she'll get fired.
Why would she get fired?
Again, this is it's a sticky situation.
Unless he's got information, unless he has text from her, she must have been flirty.
All right. Okay. So
not that it's correct to send a dick pic.
Right. I mean, okay, but all of a sudden the guy sends a dick pic. So she's like, "Whoa, hey, well, look, my goodness, look at that." Because she don't know what to do. She kind of likes to make a joke at it. But when something like that happens, you got to immediately say, "Dude, don't send me one of those again."
Mm-hmm.
All right. You have to be firm.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to let them know that does,
that ain't going to fly.
Who the fuck sends a dick? Who decides to take a picture of their dick, okay,
guys,
and say, I'll just send it to this woman to see what she thinks about it?
Mm-hmm.
I
think a lot of I think a lot of guys do that shit because guys are basically retarded.
Stupid.
Because if a girl is nice to them, if she wants to sleep with me, let me shoot her a dick pic.
Yeah, she wants the dick.
Yeah.
So now it's like more of them come.
Mm-hmm. More dick pics?
More dick pics.
Oh, she didn't put a stop to it soon enough.
Right. She didn't put a stop to it. She didn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, again.
Well, if she doesn't want to see the guy get fired, she is, look, dude, you'll instantly get fired if I bring this to someone's attention, so you better knock it off.
Right.
If she has a heart, and maybe that's her thing. She feels bad for the guy and doesn't want to see him lose his job. I don't know.
Well,
I don't want to speak for her.
I understand that. But my thing is, it's like, I don't know. I'm a guy, so I'm not afraid of anything like that, and I'm a fighter too. So if someone
did you ever get an unsolicited boob picture?
Okay, no. But when I was 20 years old, I was working in a factory kind of setting, and it was a paint shop, and we had a bunch of women in there, and they would put tape and mask the parts that weren't supposed to be painted. They were called maskers. Okay,
mm-hmm.
So I was 20 years old, And a woman, she was like 26, married, has a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm putting stuff in a crate, and I'm bent over the crate, okay? She walks up and takes her hands and puts them right down my pants and gives me a cupping.
Mm-hmm.
I mean a cupping.
Did you like it?
Well, first of all, when anybody sticks their hand down, when anybody grabs your ass when you're not expecting it, it's a startle. Like no one's, I don't care. Maybe some guys can handle that, but.
And what did you do?
I almost jumped in the crate. I was like, what the fuck? And then she's laughing and you don't know what to do. Now she's a married woman. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm her supervisor and she just jammed her hands, both hands, down the back of my pants.
How loose were your jeans? Jesus Christ. Well, you do have a back with a crack. You really don't have an ass. You don't have an ass to speak of. You got the Irish curse going on.
Right. Okay. So she, and again, of course, my pants most of the time are falling down. So I'm sure there was a carpenter crack sticking out there. So she just decided to, I don't know, grab
you got to get those Duluth T-shirts like I wear.
Right. Well, it's funny you say that. I did start getting extra long T-shirts after that, just for that reason. So I turned around and I said, okay. Because everybody's laughing. Yeah. Everybody's laughing, right?
We'll call her Beatrice.
So Beatrice, I turn around, I go, and everybody's laughing. I said, listen, don't do that. Okay. I can't have you jamming your hands down the back of my pants. All right. It's not something we do in the shop. I'm the supervisor. You're the masker. I can't have you jamming your hands down the back of my pants. Please don't do that. So she thinks it's funny. So later on, like a day or two later, I'm going to the men's room, and in she comes.
Into the men's room?
Into the men's room.
Well, she had to go badly, I guess.
No. She wants to talk to me, right? And I'm sitting there, so I'm like, all right, out, get out.
On the throne?
No.
Well, you said you were sitting there.
Well, I mean, I'm at the urinal.
Okay.
And you can't stop.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, get out.
Out and Z.
Right. So then when I walked out, I said, what is going on here? Why are you walking into the men? I said, you're a married woman. Mm-hmm. She's 4 or 5 years old, but maybe 6 years older than me or whatever.
No, that old hag.
Right. Well, you're 20 years old, right? I had a girlfriend. I had a serious girlfriend, right?
Shakespeare in the Park, huh?
And here's the other thing. I wasn't really attracted to this woman whatsoever.
Yeah, well.
She had like a snaggle tooth.
Well, it's not right.
I mean, even if I was attracted to her.
Yeah, it's not right.
It's not right.
Mm-hmm. And it's inappropriate.
Okay. So that's back in 82, 83. It was always joking and stuff like that. So my thing is now, I can't imagine how much women have to go through, how much shit they have to eat, how much bullshit they have to go through with guys that are predators like this. And there's no way, because even like when you told the story about the person in your situation, you're like, well, it's probably unfounded.
Oh, in the story, yeah, you can't take the chance.
You can't, but how do you know? I mean, that was your first thing was he's a good worker. She's a piece of shit. She's late. She doesn't call in.
Yeah,
if I got to get rid of one of them, I'd rather get rid of her. But now I can't because she's made this allegation.
Well, because you know what it is. It's like the ultimate. Joe and I used to say it's the ultimate rock paper scissors game. Scissors breaks, rock breaks scissors, paper covers. Vagina beats cock. Whenever it comes into an allegation in the courtroom, the woman will always win.
Vagina beats cock. Vagina covers cock.
Yeah, vagina beats cock. Vagina breaks cock. It is like it's an omnipotent force that can't be stopped in a court of law.
That's true. That is
unless you're that girl that got killed by the illegal alien. Then it was like, oh, okay, well that's okay. The not guilty plea that came down yesterday, the Kate Stiegel, what was her name, in San Francisco?
I missed that whole thing.
Oh, yeah, they found that illegal alien that shot the gun that killed her. Not guilty.
Really?
Yeah, you didn't see that?
No, I missed that whole story.
Man, you weren't on Facebook at all then today, or the Twitter.
No, I was very busy today. But, okay, so I missed that whole story, and I apologize.
Yeah, that's a whole other issue. But yeah, in the grand scheme of things, twat beats cock.
All right, so now we have Charlie Rose. He's gone.
Yeah.
Matt Lauer. He's gone. Bill O'Reilly.
He was the first. Harvey Weinstein.
Right, but I'm just thinking,
And then there's Conyers, the congressman.
But he's still in. See, in the private sector,
Al Franken.
You're out. Yeah. Everybody in the.
Well, how about all those? What is there, like 74 senators and congressmen that have made settlements at taxpayer expense?
Right. We're paying for it.
Yeah, to settle sexual harassment cases over the last 20-some years or something.
It gets better.
That's an outrage.
All right, it gets better. For you to bring up a charge, like say I'm a woman, Okay.
No, you did it pretty well.
I got some big jugs. I got some moves. All right, I come walking in.
Look at the cans on him.
Look at the cans on him. Woo! So I come walking in, and I've been sexually harassed by a senator. He walked in without his pants on. Hey, look at this. Yeah. Now I want to go, and I'm going to report him. Mm-hmm. Okay? I have to sign a piece of paper that says that I won't sue. I have to
what do you mean, a non-disclosure?
Yes.
Well, that's if you get the cash settlement.
No. Before it even starts, you got to sign that. Before it even starts, you have to sign a non-disclosure, and then they go through the process. These sons of bitches over there, they've got it down. Most of them are freaking lawyers.
Yeah, well, that's why.
So that's what happens.
They wrote the legislation.
They got to go in there and they have to go in there and torch that whole place to the ground and start over again. It has to be done. It is so...
I don't know about the whole place.
What is that thing where you can call a conference of the states together and straighten this out? Where you
well, that's in Article 5 of the Constitution.
Article 5 of the Constitution.
I'm involved in that now.
Okay.
That's a clause in the Constitution where the states will hold a constitutional convention. You got to get 2/3 of the states to agree to it, which I think it's 38 states.
Right.
And I think so far 13 or 14 are on board with it.
Because
most of the states that are holdouts are nice blue states like this one.
Okay, so here's the thing. There's no way that the people in charge of the mess are going to fix the mess.
That's why they have that in the Constitution.
It's got to be done. Or we're going to just be down. It's right down the tubes with all this stuff. So these guys that are in the private sector, they're getting fired left and right. Mm-hmm. These guys that are in the political...
Well, they created their own little fiefdom.
Right. And they're all
untouchable.
Right. They're all still in there. Mm-hmm. They're all doing their own thing. And again, and they're not even, some of these guys, they're not even talking about, like, apparently there's a guy out in New Mexico or Democrat out in New Mexico that's even got worse allegations.
Oh, yeah.
You don't hear shit about him.
Why is that?
He's a Democrat. The liberal media don't want to talk about it.
No, they'll cover that up.
Absolutely cover.
That's why they were outraged at Clinton, because there were credible allegations against him all the time ago.
Again, there's a perfect example. The president of the United States is getting, okay, it was consensual, a blowy.
But you're supposed to know better.
Yeah.
As a supervisor, he's her supervisor.
And he kept his job. Mm-hmm. Most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. The thing about it is, now here's a perfect example of what's going on in Alabama. This guy, Roy Moore, he's another loose cannon, all right? You know, he sent out a tweet and offered Jimmy Kimmel as wanted to fight him. Mm-hmm. You know, come on down here. You come on down here, Jimmy Kimmel. You come down here to Texas and talk to me man to man, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, but the thing with Roy Moore is, it's ironic because I think he's up 5 points since this all started.
Do you believe that?
Yeah, well,
I know he's one of them child molesters, but he's better than a Democrat.
Well, it's not that he's a child molester, but a lot of those southern states...
He's not allowed in a mall.
Well, what I'm saying is a lot of these... That's why a lot of people are taking... I let it play out and find out what happens, because there's a long history when the Democrats know that they're going to lose an election. They trot out sexual allegation charges. They did it to Herman Cain. He dropped out of the presidential. Remember Herman Cain, 999, and right. he was picking up steam. All of a sudden, sexual allegations. He drops out of the race. You never heard a peep out. Those women never came forward. They did the same thing to Ben Carson. It's a pattern with them because they will virtually come out. Now, that's not to say that these allegations are not untrue. I don't know.
I don't know either.
But I'd be willing to bet on past history that if he did drop out of the race, you would never hear anything about any sexual allegations again.
Again, so let me go back to the story about this thing with Roy Moore, with the girl with the yearbook that he signed her yearbook and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. Okay. So she's so upset about this. Now she's out and he's about ready to be, a congressman or wherever, senator.
He's taking Jeff Sessions' seat.
Okay, so
he's running for the empty seat because he's the DOJ.
So now it comes out that he presided over her divorce. He was the judge at her divorce. Mm-hmm. Nothing was said then. Don't you think there would be some kind of conflict of interest where he would recuse himself if, he knew her or something like that? She didn't say shit back then. Mm-hmm. She wasn't upset about it back then. Mm-hmm. But now all of a sudden she's out. So again, and why can't they see the yearbook? Like, why can't that yearbook? It's supposed to be evidence. Why can't that be, put into evidence so somebody can? I mean, there's just all this shadiness going on. Mm-hmm. And we, as Americans, we wouldn't stand for that in any other arena. If anybody else was doing this that was not in the...
Well, it's selective outrage.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing with Al Franken, up until that picture came up, it was just like, well, it's allegations, just like there's allegations. Then that picture shows up, and boy, what a genius he was. Hey, I'd like to know how that went down. Did he get someone to take the picture?
Of course he did.
Or did he put his camera on auto timer and pose for? I mean, I don't, because that's so. On an airplane,
right? So he had to have somebody take that picture. Yeah. And again, I can see that happening.
Well, he's kind of has a reputation of being like a nasty guy, even going all the way back to the days in the 70s when he was on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, of course. I get that. I mean, comedians, they're broken people. A lot of them, most of them, broken people. That's why they do what they do.
Plus, the whole way he won the election was like really super shady.
So, and the thing
I don't know if you know about it or not, but
no, I don't. I don't.
That's another. That has nothing to do with the topic on hand. Right. That we would drive off
into the week. We don't need to do that. Yeah. And I don't think it's even stopped yet. I still think we're at the tip of the iceberg. I think there's going to be.
Oh yeah, because look how many years people were getting away with it, and then they all got comfortable with it, and then they wind up recruiting more people to take part of it.
All right, so
it is the tip of the iceberg.
Okay, so now here's another interesting twist on this whole story. Do you know who wrote the article that started this whole thing with Harvey Weinstein? His name is
Dick Hertz.
Dick Hertz. His name is Dick Hertz. No, his name is Rowan Farrow. All right, Rowan Farrow is Mia Farrow and Woody Allen's biological child.
Oh, right. I didn't know they had biological kids.
Okay, wait. It gets better. Now, if you take a look at him, see there's a picture right there of him.
That blonde dude?
The blonde dude.
Okay.
Does he look like Woody Allen at all?
No, he got lucky and he favored Mia Farrow.
Okay. Now there's some kind of rumor or something going around that is the illegitimate son of Frank Sinatra. Apparently, Frank Sinatra and Farrow got busy while
they were engaged.
Okay, but he was married to Mia Farrow. They were married. Woody Allen and Mia Farrow. This happened in '87. He was born in '87.
Isn't that when Frank died?
No, he died in the '90s, I think. But look at him, father. See when Frank died. So he writes this story about Harvey Weinstein. He goes to NBC. He wants to go and break this story.
Yeah, he died in '98. I thought he died before that, but go ahead.
Okay. So he goes to NBC and says, listen, I have this story about Harvey Weinstein. Well, apparently Matt Lauer's name was all tied up in this.
Right.
So NBC said, you know what? We're not going to do this story. So they were trying to protect him.
They tried to bury it.
He turns around and he goes to the Washington Post or Washington.
I think the New York Times broke this story.
Okay.
With Harvey Weinstein. I think it went to.
Right.
I think that's where it went first.
So they say everybody at NBC knew that Matt Lauer was at least a serial adulterer and at worst an alleged serial sexual predator. Okay. Why did the network spike Rowan Farrow's expose on Harvey Weinstein? Farrow, a contributor to both NBC News and the Lauer's Today Show, went to his NBC bosses with what has turned out to be one of the most consequential pieces of journalism in the past year, if not in the past decade. His expose on Weinstein alleged sexual predatorial behavior helped launch this whole national reckoning over sexual abuse and gender power dynamics in entertainment, politics, and the American workplace. This whole thing, they've been circling. I mean, they tried to keep this under wraps for as long as they could. And he cut this thing loose. And now.
Well, it's kind of like the Dan Rather thing all over again. They're circling the wagon to protect their own. I know you know who Andrew Klavan is, but I don't know if you follow him on Twitter.
No, I do not.
He had a hysterical tweet because one of the allegations is that Matt Lauer had like a jeweler's buzzer on his dressing room door.
Right.
So like he could lock the door so nobody would come in.
Yes.
And Andrew Klavan tweeted like, what, like a Bond villain? Like,
yeah, exactly.
You're not getting out.
You're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So now they're saying, well.
Then the next thing you know.
Wait. So now they're saying that, well, that's not a big deal. A lot of the executives at NBC have that buzzer in case there's something that goes on and they can lock the door without having to go to the door.
That's what they say.
That's what they say.
What's really happening
because someone's like,
excuse me while I whip this out.
Exactly. So you lock the door, you drop trowel. What do you think of this? And the next thing you know, if she doesn't say, wow, look at that, they end up firing her.
You're fired. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it is. It's like,
what do you think of this?
While I whip this out.
And if they don't go for it, it's
fired. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. It's a bunch of bullshit. So basically, I really do believe that women should be able to carry tasers.
Not in New Jersey, they won't.
No, I think they should be able to carry tasers. So,
cattle prods might be more
right, or something like that. The next thing you know, what do you think of this? And the woman goes, I'll show you.
Okay.
And that's the end of that.
While I whip this out.
Yeah, exactly. That'll stop the bullshit. But so now I can't imagine what it must be like to try to date in these times.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you do now? Like, as far as I'm concerned, if I see a woman, how do you greet them?
Well, some of this shit that's going on now is just a little over the top.
Right.
Like, that they started this shit last year. You remember that old Christmas carol? It's a great song, Baby, It's Cold Outside.
Yes.
All right. Well, last year, the SJWs, formerly single Jewish women, but now they're social justice warriors, they started this bullshit that it's a rape song. Like, and
it kind of is.
That's bullshit, because how many times you and I would, back in our youth and going back to the dawn of time, it's
what do you mean, we white man?
It's seduction.
Wait,
it's seduction.
Did you see Did you see the video of it? Do you know who was in it? Do you know who the guy is?
Which video?
The video of the very original one.
Mm-hmm.
That's it was like in the 40s or something like that.
Yeah, it was written in the 40s. It's an old. I think it's a Cole Porter song.
It's the guy from Fantasy Island.
Oh, Ricardo Montalban?
Yeah, it's Khan.
Okay.
All right. That's who's in it, right? And he's the one singing.
Was he wearing
No, he was in a
Corinthian
suit.
leather?
But she tries to leave, and he's grabbing her and taking her coat away and all.
Mm-hmm.
It is so, if you watch it now, in today's environment, it's so fucking rapey.
You never did that?
The hell no.
Oh, you never ever said, no, let me get more soda?
No. Well, okay, yeah. But I never took her coat, never stood in front of the door.
The song was written before, because that's not who sang the song originally.
Oh, it is. It is.
No,
It's from
Ricardo
the movie.
Montalban did not sing that song.
You sure?
It's an old Cole. Yeah, now let me Google that.
Go Google that. Okay, so now.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, now everyone's just so, I don't know, pussified. Like, no one seduced anybody.
Hold on a second.
And how else are you going to get in their pants?
What? What are you saying? What are you saying?
It was written by Frank. I might be mispronouncing this. Louser or Loser. Frank, Loesser. In 1944, there's a call and response duet.
Right.
Which one of the singers attempts to convince a guest, usually performed by a female voice.
When was it? When did he write it?
1944.
Okay, so in 1949 is when this came out. Let me play this clip, see if it plays.
For an evening that started out so...
Oh, that is his voice. I know that.
It has definite possibilities. No.
But what show is that on? Or is it a movie?
It's a movie. From Neptune's Daughter. So they're having a drink. And he's moving in. He's moving in on the couch right now.
Mm-hmm.
And she's doing everything to... Like she's holding the glass up.
On second thought.
Yes?
I really can't stay.
Baby, it's cold outside.
I've got to go away.
Baby, it's cold.
Now he's grabbing her arm and he's pulling her arm down.
Yeah, that's not the original version.
So very nice.
I'll hold your hands.
Let me see.
They're just like ice.
My mother will start to worry.
Beautiful. What's your...
Takes her hat off her head. She's trying to get out the door.
Listen to the
He took her purse and
So
puts it back
really
away.
I'd better scurry.
Beautiful. Please don't hurry.
Well, maybe just a half a drink more.
Put some records on while I pause.
The neighbors might
But
think.
baby, it's bad out there.
Say, what's in this
No
drink?
cabs to be had out there.
Oh, he slipped her a
Wish
Mickey.
I knew how.
No,
Eyes
it's
are
Bill
like
Cosby?
stars right now.
Yeah, he gave her a Cosby.
Baby, it's cold outside.
No,
Mind if
sir.
I move in closer?
At least I'm going to say that I tried.
All right, so anyhow, but I mean, in today's standard, that is so, when you watch it, it's so rapey.
Ray Charles covered it. Dolly Parton covered it.
Okay.
It was originally recorded for the film Neptune's Daughter.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm playing. That's where it's from. So, yeah, I mean, from now on, you see a woman, you give her a fist bump. You can't go wrong with a fist bump.
Yeah.
Or a wave from across the room.
Yeah, but
hey,
girls like this stuff too. I mean,
But you can't tell because you know what? If
well,
something
it's
happens,
because of the conditioning over the last 20 years. Like everything's bad.
But they get a hair up their ass, and the next thing you know, they.
Well, that's it.
How? So now, what do you do?
Yeah.
As a guy, what do you do? You said, pussy covers cock.
Yeah. Well,
and you're done.
In a court of law, and it'll always win.
So what do you do with that? I mean, you're damned if you do. You're damned if you don't.
You know, and I know in the real world. See, in the real world where people are not famous,
right?
This all went all the time.
Okay, is it right? That's my
What's
question.
That? No, I'm not talking about that. The Matt Lauer aspect thing. I'm just talking about hey, you never went out on a date on a girl and kept her out a little bit later than usual.
Listen,
and didn't she
my move was to get my best move was to get them drunk, so they would drop their.
Oh, that's not rapey at all.
Yeah, I'm just telling you, it would drop their.
How else are you going to get in their pants?
I'd stop it. That's not what I'm saying.
What did they used to say? Alcohol, the great equalizer.
It's the liquid lubricant.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is the great equalizer. So
shields down and the panties too.
Jesus Christ. Oh.
Negative shields.
Panty shields down.
I remember that. Sandy lost her shit.
What was that?
The panty shields, and then Dom and I started increase the forward power to the panty shields because we started making Star Wars references and. That didn't
she
fly.
wasn't a big fan of that.
No. Well, no women generally like Star Wars.
They don't like being talked about their panty shields.
The panty shields.
Right.
Increase the forward power on the panty shields.
Well, I think women should have to be able to. I think women should be able to.
Now they need a chastity belt.
Right. You should be able to make the. What did you say? What did you just say?
What, about a chastity belt?
No, before that.
Increase the forward power to the panty shields?
Most women should be able to have that. Be able to do that.
Mm-hmm. Like electric panties.
Right, exactly.
It's like a taser panty.
Yes, taser panties. They touch the outside.
Big ass.
That's not it.
Wow, what's going on in those panties?
Well, when you're, if you prime them with alcohol, it's. But if they're not ready yet, there you go. Right, exactly. All right, let's get off of this before we really get ourselves in fucking trouble. This next story, it's about a man who plans to launch himself in a homemade rocket funded by the Flat Earthers.
What can go wrong?
So I'm thinking to myself, now we're talking. Let's shoot one of these flat earthers up into space and then let them go around one time, or at least let them see that the earth is round. That's what I would do. I would take a flat earther and I would shoot him into a rocket and I would send him to the space station and I would keep him up there for a month or two and say, there you go. Now come back and tell your friends about it, all this, what happened. Mm-hmm. So this guy, his name is Mad Mike Hughes. I don't believe in science. He's a limo driver.
Well.
Okay.
Yeah, so because that limo is running on magic.
Right. So now he had to postpone he had a planned launch, but he had to postpone it because he couldn't get the required permits. Can you imagine going into the
what do you get a permit for that at?
Yeah. So, I'm here to get a permit. What do you want to do?
Build a deck? Do you need want to put new concrete? No.
Nah,
I want to launch myself into space.
I want to launch a rocket. So I'm like, okay. So now I start reading on. He's a self-taught rocket engineer. He's a self-taught rocket scientist.
Mm-hmm. So he just said he doesn't believe in science, but he's a self-taught engineer.
Right. Who claims that he believes the Earth is flat. He plans to launch himself nearly 2,000 feet into the air on a homemade steam rocket. It's supposed to be Saturday. Mm-hmm. All right. He's 61.
Steam?
Yeah. Apparently, this rocket will go about 500 mile an hour and 1,800 feet into the air. Now, do you see any issue with that? Do you see any problem with that?
Yeah, I don't think steam would have sufficient thrust to get them up that fast.
Okay, that's what you're... see, what do most planes fly at?
Well, when we went up to California, at the highest, we flew at 37,000 feet. That's like almost 6 miles.
He's going up 2,000 feet.
Right.
What the hell is he going to see?
That's only like a little over a quarter mile.
Yeah, it's not even as high as some mountains.
Yeah, there's my neighborhood.
Right. So
the story is 10 feet, so he's basically going up 200 stories.
Okay.
So it's a little taller than the World Trade Center.
Right.
Was.
So I don't understand what this is supposed to do. Like, I don't understand how this is supposed to.
I eagerly await reading about his cataclysmic death. This is not going to go. And I'm not really enraptured with the look of that rocket. It looks like one of the rides we would get in as a kid. To put a quarter in front of the supermarket, and it would rock you back and forth.
Or you would go down to the shore on the boardwalk, and you would push the lever forward, and it would go up in the air, and you'd pull it backwards, and it would go down. And it looks like that. Mm. And this guy's going to strap himself in there and shoot himself 1,800 feet into the air.
What balls he has. Well, those limo drivers, they are well-rounded.
I mean, this is the guy.
What could go wrong?
Research, flat Earth. Yeah. He's not even going high enough to see anything.
That's like an oxymoron.
Yeah. I say, let's stop the bullshit. Let's shoot him into space. Let's take a flat earther and shoot him into space. My buddy Tom from the Tom and Steve show, he's been on Twitter, and he's all over this flat earther thing.
Right.
He's putting all kinds of believe this or believe that. This is a fake. That's a fake. I don't know.
Well, that day we were in the break room. Like I said, I was transfixed. I was actually speechless. I wanted to comment, but I was afraid that if I did, I would spook them off.
And you wanted to hear everything.
Yeah, I wanted to hear it all. I was enthralled because I had never thought that I would actually meet a flat earther. Yeah, I mean, I thought they were like unicorns. They really didn't exist. It was made up shit.
Now, you know me. Mm-hmm. I love myself a good conspiracy theory. Mm-hmm. I'm all over them because I think there's a lot more goes on in this world that we don't know about and we're kept in the dark over than anybody wants to admit to.
Such as?
Kennedy assassination, 9/11, all that stuff. I'm all over that. I don't believe 9/11 was just 19 guys decided to get together and hijack 4 planes and crash into the World Trade Center.
Well, that's a conspiracy. That's a conspiracy.
Yeah, but I think it's not. I think it goes. I think the United States had that done so we could get into Iraq.
Yeah,
that's what I believe.
And what did we get out of that?
Nothing. Well, what we did, first of all, we got a war economy, and the people that were making weapons and all that stuff, they got a chance to make a lot of money. So,
no, we didn't get anything out of it. It was, no blood for oil. We didn't get any oil. We didn't take any oil.
A few people made a lot of money over those wars. That's all I'm saying. All right. And then the same thing with the Kennedy assassination. I can't believe that just one guy shot him.
Why?
It doesn't make sense.
I'm not saying he didn't have help.
Well, that's a conspiracy.
But one guy can do that.
Why is it we can't see the files after?
Well, after 6 months, because they just released them. Some of the information is didacted, but Trump said they have 6 months to prove that what they kept didacted, they have to prove that it's still a national threat, and if they can't, that stuff gets released in 6 months' time.
What happens if it's a CIA thing? Or let's make it worse. Let's say something happening and it was a Russian thing.
Well, the Russians absolutely probably had something to do with it because he defected to the Soviet Union.
Okay.
And then he came back.
Right. So what happens if we find out 50 years later that Russia put a hit on one of our presidents?
Well, it's probably plausible that that's what happened.
The consequences of that.
The biggest one that I always hear the most is it was Lyndon B. Johnson had him killed.
It's in his home state. He knows all the players.
Yeah. It's just like... Because prior to running, they hated each other. In fact, that's a famous quote when he offered the vice presidentship to Johnson and he accepted. Kennedy said, he accepted? Because they were always at odds when they were fellow senators on the floor.
How about that?
So I mean, he was a Northeast Yankee. And at that time down south, they were still pissed off that they lost the Civil War. So
only 100 years ago.
Yeah, about 100. Yeah, it's almost 100 years later, and they were still angry about it.
Right, exactly. So, yeah.
If you went to when we went to Florida, and my grandfather used to go down back in the 50s, and for 25 years they used to drive down there. They saw those Yankee plates.
They used to pull you over all the time.
You could be pushing your car and they would get you for speeding.
Got you for speeding.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't catch the Carolina plates, Georgia, Virginia. You couldn't. They were like breaking the sound barrier. But they saw Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York. They saw those Yankee tags. You're getting a ticket.
So here's a story. I'm following my sister. This is, 20 years ago. I'm following my sister back from South Carolina. She's driving in front of me, and I'm following her. So all of a sudden, cop comes out, pulls her over. So I go in front. I see pull her over. I go in front and stop. Mm-hmm. So, I can't keep going. I stop. So the cop gets out, talks to her, whatever, writes her a ticket. As he gets done writing her ticket, she pulls out. He pulls right up behind me, puts his lights on. He goes, what do you stop for? I said, that was my sister. We're driving to New Jersey. I wanted to stop. He wrote me a ticket for the same speed. Well, if you were following her, you had to be going the same speed. I said, do you have anything that's radar on me? How are you proving this? Mm-hmm. He goes, listen, boy, just come back down here. You don't like it, you can come back down here for court.
Right. Well, it's every state. They'll tell you that.
Right. So what am I going to do? Drive down there?
Yeah.
And a good old boy in Mayberry RFD land of cotton and cocksuckers.
The most expensive speeding ticket I got, Joe, Don, and I went up to Boston. And remember Deborah? We went to go visit her. She went to Boston University. I know you met her, but it was a long time ago. And back then, the speed limit was still 55 miles an hour. So I was keeping up with traffic. But I had the New Jersey tags, so the cops know you're not going to come back and fight it. They're going to write you a ticket.
Right.
And I had the company car at that time. And I was like, oh, this is just great. Now I'm going to get in trouble because, and someone told me, now I don't know about now because now everything's computerized. And they told me, pay the ticket immediately. It was a $298 ticket.
Jeez.
Because it was one of those states. I think most of the northeastern states are like this. It's a set. If you're 12 miles over, it's this much. But for every mile that you were over above that, they tacked on another 10 miles per hour. Well, we were doing like 84 miles an hour. We were on like a major interstate. And everyone else was going that fast. But I had the Jersey tag, so I'm the lucky contestant. I get the ticket. I paid that $298 ticket. Never appeared on my manifest. Never. He said, as soon as they notify Trenton, then you're going to get it. It's going to hit your manifest. You're going to get the points. You're going to just pay it. Didn't even, because a lot of people, they say, well, I'm never going back there again. What can they do to me?
Right. Next thing you know.
Right. And then that's how you wind up with the 3 points and the moving violations. So,
yeah, exactly.
And never did appear. But now it might be different because all these states are interconnected by computers.
Yeah, that's true. Anti-LGBT politician resigns after being caught having sex with a man.
Yeah.
Anti-LGBT politician resigns after being caught having sex with a man in his office. He's from Ohio. He's a Christian faith-based anti-LGBT. He has
EIF,
EIO. He's a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He pushes family values. He's married. Meanwhile, he's in there either getting the dick or giving the dick to another guy.
Pitching and catching.
My thing is, like, how can you be such a hypocrite through this whole thing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how can you... And again, he's on the record for being anti-gay, anti-gay marriage, anti-all this. Wasn't he just waiting to be blackmailed?
I want to know, who is this guy that was so high that, get in my office.
Right.
Get in there now. He couldn't wait.
Got to get the dick.
Yeah.
So,
again, men are deviants.
They are. It's just they want to put it in something. They don't really care.
But I've got a railroad spike and I got to hide it now. So.
Now, what happens? I mean, I understand that cock covers dick. What's dick and dick do? Well, like scissors to scissors. I guess that's nothing, right?
What's that, docking? Is that
that's
the thing
Daniel?
That Daniel Rephold sent us?
The
docking picture.
Jesus Christ.
Did you listen to Jason and Mindy last night?
I did not yet.
Okay, they were talking about cock piercing. People that are like doing, all that
they
nonsense.
Call that a Prince Albert, isn't it?
Well, there's a lot of they went through it and everything, and I was just and I found they went down.
Oh,
they were talking about it and they went through all the terms.
I thought Jason got his cock.
No, Jason's much smarter than that.
Okay.
Just but as they were talking about it, I felt my legs instinctively like closing together. And I was like actually sitting there like with my hands over my crotch. I was like, it was just a reflex. I was like, man, this is horrible. It sounded like a really great way to get a ferocious infection.
Oh, I mean,
like what they do, you can't use it for like 8 weeks, and I was like,
what do you mean you can't use it?
You can use it to go tinkle, but you're not going to use it like you want to use it.
You're not going to ram it into something.
Yeah, you're not going to be like hiding the railroad spike in something. So it's just like
I can't imagine. Like,
who thought that was a great idea?
Yeah, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take this big giant hoop earring. I'm going to put it in the end of my cock. For what? It can only get caught on something. It can only end up being Like, could you imagine if that got ripped out? Holy shit. I can't find my screams.
Oh, that one?
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to be like.
It's the same thing with the women.
Sometimes you get a near miss.
What's a near miss?
Like, I mean, how dainty that area is on a guy.
Oh,
like, do you ever see something's coming at your nuts and you turn, you're just in time, you didn't get the full force of it. Oh,
you got a grazing.
Yeah, but it still hurts like hell.
Hurts like hell, yeah.
I mean, so I can let me get this and no. We're going to make a Filet-O-Fish. No, we're not.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not going to do that.
None of that.
Tattooing it. That's another thing. The guys that get tattoos on that.
So now what does this guy do now that he's been caught?
Well, he did the right thing and he resigned.
Oh, he did resign.
Oh, yeah. That's the difference between Republicans and Democrats. He said, yeah, well, you caught me. I'm resigning. I'm not. Al Franken and Conyers are, no, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying behind.
Our buddy Roy, he didn't resign either.
He's not elected. He's still running.
Okay. Okay, so now.
But he didn't get caught. He was accused. Big difference.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Well, I mean, the Al Franken thing, I don't know about the Al Franken thing because, again, you can't really tell that he's actually, the hands are positioned where he's touching. But
that's not sexual harassment, even though he didn't touch her? It would be sexual assault if he touched her. And how do we know he didn't touch her? Because she was asleep in that picture.
If you grab any woman by the boobs, you think they're waking up? You think they're still sleeping through it? As soon as you touch it, as soon as you know how
if he goes in there like he's going to milk a cow, I'm sure it'll. But if he just kind of because she was wearing a flak jacket or some kind of protective vest, so she may not have felt it.
Well, again, then what is he actually grabbing? Or again, you remember how you said if you graze a nut, you jump or whatever. I think it's the same thing with if you graze a boob, they immediately recoil. It's just automatic.
Yeah, it depends.
I don't know.
I know of a girl that really liked to be back in the day.
Like to be what?
Oh, she wanted them really. She just wanted them really pulled and slapped and everything.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
now you're all intrigued, right? Yeah. So I mean, if someone's like that, maybe they wouldn't necessarily feel it.
I still think she would wake up for it.
Yeah. Well, those USO tours are pretty grueling. You're flying hours in an uncomfortable plane. I mean, they were like in some kind of Air Force plane or Army plane. I mean, you saw the seat that they're all strapped in flak and helmets on. And
that's true.
Not Al Franken.
No.
Well, proud as a peacock.
How else is
Here's how that's going to go. Like, they're all in the plane and they're flying. That motherfucker, he was sitting there waiting for her to nod off. Oh, I mean.
He had it all planned.
Unbuckled his thing, put it together. Hey, take my picture. This will be great.
This will be so funny.
Yeah, she's going to love this picture. I'm not going to show it to her.
Right. And then the next thing you know.
Yeah. He's taking a picture thinking,
oh, boy, is this great.
And now it comes out now. He's like, mother.
12 years later.
Yeah, exactly. You know what you don't do this time of year? Go out and walk your dogs if you live like in New York, Pennsylvania, Vermont. Especially if, so when I first moved out of New Jersey and I had to move it was called Green Lane, Pennsylvania.
I know where that's at.
Okay. It was like after Thanksgiving until after Christmas. Everybody was walking around in orange. And I'm like, why? Why is everybody? This is stupid. I hate this.
Hunting season, right?
It's hunting season.
Yeah.
And
smart.
It is smart because a woman was walking her dog near her Western New York home, New York State, was fatally shot Wednesday by a man who told police he mistook her for a deer. Rosemary Billiquist, 43, was hit by a bullet from a single-shot pistol. Pistol? Who shoots deer with a pistol?
Well, in West Virginia, I mean, they got everything going on. I mean, they got pistol, bow, rifle, rakes and shovels, chainsaws, whatever you want. It was like
her neighbor shot her.
Wow.
The neighbor told investigators he was 200 yards from the victim when he fired. When he realized that he had made a grave mistake, he called 911. How do you mistake a woman for a deer?
Well, you're a hunter. Like
you can't.
Well, but what was the picture? I mean, was she wearing brown? Was she cloaked by bushes?
Doesn't matter. If you're a hunter,
was it daylight? Was it dusk?
Doesn't matter.
It happens all the time. Stories
I understand.
Like these.
But this guy is so wrong over this. When you're a hunter and you're out there and you need to be able to see without a doubt where your bullet's going to go and beyond. Like, say, if it goes through the deer or whatever you're shooting at.
I understand that, but if he thought that she was indeed a deer, but the area behind it was a stop.
Unless she is dressed in a deer suit.
I don't know, because one time there was a story like this in New Jersey. Well, it's quite a while ago now. So there was just some kid. He had a brown leather jacket on.
I don't care. You cannot shoot a person thinking they're a deer.
Then why did they start having people wear orange?
Yeah, I understand. Well, because I'll tell you why.
Because people would start mistaking people for deer.
No.
Or bear or whatever.
What happens is they make them wear orange, so if they see a deer, they'll see the orange behind the deer and say, okay, there's a hunter there, I can't shoot. The people that are wearing orange that are walking around, I mean, you have to be able to see whatever it is without a shadow of a doubt. People shoot in, they hear rustling in a bush. They see something brown moving behind a bush. They go, oh, that must be a deer. Look at it, it's brown. All right, so they shoot at it. Then they go over and they go, oh, fuck. Now what? Okay, you have to be able to see without a shadow of a doubt, without 1 ounce of doubt in your mind.
If you were, perfect example, we were in Tioga that one winter. I had a brown leather jacket on.
Yes.
Do you remember what I wore over it?
Probably something.
A bright orange vest.
Yeah, okay. I understand that. Well,
would you trust to that theory that you just put out, that if you had a brown leather jacket, you just wander on through the woods in low light conditions?
No, I don't, because people are not people.
Because from a distance, hey, you're old, I'm older now.
I understand.
You might not be able to see that far.
But if you can't identify it, you can't shoot it. This happens every year. Pennsylvania, New York. Not as much New Jersey, because New Jersey can't use a rifle. You have to use a shotgun.
State, yeah.
You have to use a shotgun.
You can use a rifle slug. That's it.
This guy shot a pistol at 200 yards. Pretty good shot, for being quite honest with you.
Yeah.
Or lucky, one of the two.
No, I got a pistol that could do that. That
200
Magnum.
yards?
Yeah, you shot it. You put a scope on that.
That hand cannon?
Yeah.
I don't even think you could.
A 357, you could do it
with a scope, maybe.
Yeah, well, that's what they're hunting with. He's hunting with a scope.
Okay, so he's got a scope and he still shoots her?
We don't know. I don't know what the picture was. It's a tragedy. I agree with you, but we don't know. It's his neighbor. Now, unless they come out with subsequent information that they hated each other, they were feuding, there was always a bickering and arguing, you might have something to go on there.
I don't know. I'm just thinking to myself.
She looks like she was pretty cute.
Yeah, she was.
Where did this happen at?
In Allegheny, right? It's just north. It's actually right on the very corner of New York State, where it goes into Pennsylvania, up by Erie, by the whatever Great Lake that is over there.
Erie
Lake. Okay.
Hence the name.
Erie. Okay.
Have you ever been to Erie itself?
No.
Oh, it's horrible.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, it's like all the industry left. It's brutal.
So put your orange on until December.
Wear it all the time.
There's hardly any hunting around here anymore. They're just not allowed to do it.
What? Well, we up my end, we still got the pine barrens and all that's going on. And then down where I work, where they really grow the deer big, because there's nothing but farm down there, and they're eating good, those deer.
Oh yeah, because nobody's.
Well, some super fan Dave, he totaled his Jeep.
That's right,
and he hit a deer. It was a couple of 100 pounds, that deer.
Yeah,
and that Jeep was like he bought that brand new. It was a Jeep Grand Cherokee. They're pretty sizable. And game over. He hit it.
Right.
Game over for that deer.
We can't go more than one episode without talking about a sex doll.
No, we were doing pretty good lately.
Right.
I see you found one.
I did find one. In Barcelona, a brothel replaced the women with busty sex dolls to allow clients to act out their wild fantasies, things that they would never try with a real person.
Okay. This can't end well either. Not for the dolls.
Lumi Dolls, which operates at a secret location in a Spanish city, opened earlier this year, claimed to be the world's first sex doll brothel. Customers can choose from 4 hyper-realistic working girls who have been crafted from thermoplastic elastomer.
Elastomer?
Okay. The seedy venue has been dogged by controversy from the start. The owner, Sergey
Prieto,
admitted that he was forced to turn away some sick individuals who wanted to act out a rape fantasy.
Well, they probably want to do snuff films, too.
What's the harm? It's a doll.
No, that's not sick and twisted.
Well, isn't that what this was all about?
So you're going to draw the line. No, absolutely no rape fantasies. But if you want to come in here, bang the doll, and cut its head off, go ahead.
No, you can't cut its head off because
that's what a snuff film is.
I understand. I got to use the doll again. You can't hurt the doll, but if you want to pretend you're raping the doll, I don't care. Hold the doll down and have your way with it. I don't care.
You have really weird.
Well, it's a doll.
Line. Yeah, you don't rape the doll, but go ahead and simulate a murder.
Let me just ask you this: if the doll hasn't given its consent, isn't every act on the doll rape?
Yeah, but the premise here is over sick fantasies.
Right. But
so rape is no good, but you're saying that a snuff film is okay?
No, I don't. No, wait a minute. We're mixing two things here. Let's attack them one at a time. You're going to go into this brothel because I can't rape somebody.
And bang a non-cleaning doll.
I want to bang a non-cleaning doll. Ugh. Okay? And I have these rape things, like these rape fantasies. Not that I would ever perform them on a woman, but I would like to see what it's like.
While you're playing Baby It's Cold Outside, right?
Of course.
Give me that doll. Put on the rape.
All
right, give me that doll. All right. So now, all right, easy.
That's a really sick fantasy. Who bangs to that
Well, that's
song?
what this is. The wildest fantasies. The wildest. Not the average fantasy, not the mild fantasy. The wildest fantasies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why a rape fantasy is out of the... I can understand why a snuff film, like you shoot it, you stab it, you cut his head off. Now, what am I going to do with this fucking headless doll? Who's going to want to fuck this thing now? This is ruined. If you want to buy the doll...
No, you're going to wind up buying the doll.
Right, exactly. That's a different story.
Wow, these dolls are expensive.
Right. Local residents kicked up a storm and the facility faced a number of complaints. Cops raided the premises. Where's the crime? Where is the crime?
Well, if the cops are reacting to whatever the
but I want to know
complaint is, so they probably found out there was no crime after the raid, unfortunately. Okay. You're right. Where is the crime in that? But who knows what these neighbors told the cops.
Right.
And they're going to act on that.
I was listening to Who's Right podcast the other day, and they were talking about, would you have sex with a transsexual? Male trans into a female. Would you have one?
No.
Me neither. But a doll, I know you wouldn't.
No.
And I don't think I would either.
Yes, you would. You always bring this up, so I'm thinking yes.
I don't know.
I'm more of a germaphobe than you are, I guess.
Well, I'd want a brand new one.
Right.
I don't want one, I don't want a used one. But anyhow, listen, with my bad back, that's all I need to do is throw my back out on a stupid love doll. The stories, right? I would never be able to live it down. It would be worse than that.
What's going on? He's been in there for hours.
It'd be worse than that Ohio congressman with a dude. Could imagine the lumps I would take if what happened to John. Well, he fucked his back up, fucking one of those sex dolls over.
And John's Twitter presence was never to be seen again.
Right. Could you see that? Yeah. Now listen.
Hey, dudes, what happened to your podcast? Well, I really can't go into that.
Yeah. My co-host started banging his love doll. Next thing you know.
Yeah, he couldn't get out, threw his back out. They came in with a backhoe, dragged him out. The press was there. It was really embarrassing.
Worst comes to worst, I have a heart attack and die on the sex doll.
That happens a lot. Not with sex dolls. But you always hear about that shit, like guys
come and go at the same time.
Well, yeah, because they decide they take a mistress or something like that, a younger woman, and they decide that they're going to be like, let me show her how athletic I am.
Let me take a couple
and
of these
then the next
pills.
thing you're like, and you cack out right on top of her.
Or hopefully, if you're smart, you cack out underneath her. So, God, yeah, imagine that phone call.
Yeah. Oh, I would imagine that the girl's just going to slip away into the night and. No one's going to know you're there for a couple of days. All right. You get a little gamey.
That's true. How much do you think it costs to be with one of these sex dolls?
Well, I saw the price. And I did see how much it cost to buy one.
Right. How much is it to buy one? $2,000.
To buy it.
Just under $2,000. All right, $2,000 with tax. If you want to, if you don't want to go to the brothel, if you want one brought to you, like delivering a pizza, it's $275. And they bring it right to your house. Now, will they sit out in the driveway, wait for you to get done with it?
How do they get it in your house? In a crate? That's got to be like really creepy.
Throw it over your shoulder.
Yeah, that's what I mean, like a fireman's carry.
Like the carrier in. Where do you want her? On a couch. Okay.
My wildest fantasy.
Right.
I'm going to have her make me a sandwich first. Then I'm going to bang her on the counter.
So then, all of a sudden, you go back out. The guy opens up the door. You can come get her.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Well, the whole thing's weird, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, it's like
on-premise sessions are only $90 for 30 minutes, but up to $210 for 2 hours.
Oh, great!
Who wants to go 2 hours with this thing?
Well, for that kind of money, you could get a real whore.
You could get a real whore.
That's
and
self-cleans.
And a real venereal disease, too.
Yeah, right. Well, that's why you wrap that rascal.
I understand that. Customers are encouraged to wear condoms.
Yeah, duh.
And each dial is disinfected with a special antibacterial soap. What goes on in the private rooms, which features plasma TVs and adult films, remains private. Visitors can specify how the 4 girls, Katie, Kanda, Lily, or Yoko. Oh, see, I just lost my erection right there.
Well, you can anger bang Yoko. You broke up the Beatles.
Broke up the Beatles. Like that handrail. Exactly.
That's a little weird.
They haven't brought them to America yet.
Yeah.
Only a matter of time.
We don't need that shit.
Yeah,
I guess that would appear on Craigslist, and you can start your own service.
Yeah.
Speaking of Craigslist,
Go ahead.
This is fun. Did you ever play a joke on somebody using Craigslist?
No. How do you do that?
This is great. This happens apparently all the time with the guys that I work with. There's this one guy. He's a piece of work, and
is this actually a break room story?
It happened at the place I work, but it didn't necessarily happen in that break.
I thought we were bringing the bit back.
No, I'll talk about it, but
okay,
it didn't necessarily happen there. Yes, It happened in the break room.
Aha! It's back, baby.
But it could have been anywhere.
Okay,
all right.
I'll give you an out.
Let me find. So anyway, there's this one guy. He's kind of he's a nice guy, but he's a troublemaker.
Okay,
so to speak. And he thought he was going to have a real nice, quiet. He had an easy assignment, and he thought it was going to be like really nice and quiet, and no one's going to bother him. Well, little did he know that the guy that he was telling this to was like a major prankster.
Okay.
So what he does is he puts this on Craigslist. PS4 with 2 games, $75. Okay, so if you know anything about gaming systems, that's a ridiculously cheap price.
Okay.
So he throws it up there and he writes this. Selling my used PS4 with 2 games. Works fine. I just don't have the time to play it anymore, according to my wife. She says it's time to get rid of the childish games and to man up. The 2 games I have are Tom Clancy's Wildlands and NBA 2017. I'm asking $75, but I can negotiate with anyone that's struggling. I am also willing to trade for any old school gangster rap.
Okay. He put
his phone number on it. So for like 3 hours, he's getting texts. His phone is blowing up. He's like, and the first time he got it is just the phone number that came up just happened to be like a digit off from like his wife or something. So he picks up the phone. He's like, "Yeah, I'm interested in your PS4." And he's like,
"What?
I'm not selling my PS because he does have one.
He does have one.
Yeah, he's a big gamer, which made it even better. So
how did he find it? How did he find out who did it, or did he not find out?
Well, he confessed to it.
Oh, he did finally.
Yeah.
Okay,
and then he did it to another friend of his, but he changed like what he would be willing to change it for.
Right.
But it's like, but the guy, he's like
an asshole. To be quite honest with you.
Wow, it was epic. But the guy that he did it to is like the whitest white guy on the planet, like me.
Okay.
So he
didn't want any of this nonsense whatsoever.
Old school gangster rap, so he's probably getting all kinds of phone calls. I mean, it's on Craigslist, so it's out in the whole world.
Right.
It was like epic. It was just like he was telling the story yesterday, and I was like, give me that article. Give me the ad. And then he gave me a screenshot of the Craigslist ad, and I just read it verbatim off there.
God.
That's like an excellent dick move.
That is an excellent dick
But that
move.
goes on a lot where I work. Guys do that. We do that to each other all the time.
All ball breaking kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So it's like, what do you do? Because they have your number.
Someone did it to you, but you don't.
Right. You don't know who, and now you got to go through this bullshit.
Yeah,
So
now you're blocking calls.
What I would do is I would just put a voicemail on saying, "Hey, listen, I got pranked. I don't have a PS4. Nothing's for sale."
But that doesn't stop the texts.
Oh, the fucking texts.
Yeah.
Oh.
Then another thing he told. This is even better. I can't name names.
I would fucking kill this guy.
Well, this is even better. He's always on Craigslist. The guy that placed the ad now.
Right.
Okay, the prankster. So he's always looking on for cars and shit to buy. So sometimes people misclassify what they have as far as they might have. It might be a truck and they put it in the wrong topic or whatever. So what he basically was doing was he just punched in Bridgeton, Millville. So anything on Craigslist that was up for sale in Bridgeton and Millville would be captured and he can go through it. So he's going through it and he sees this picture of a dude and he's telling me the story and this, I'm going to use a made up name, and this looks remarkably like Mark with makeup on and eyeshadow and everything like that, so he's just like, wow, this is, remarkably like him. So talk about not thinking clearly. So he gets a hold of him and says, yo, what the fuck is going on? Is this you? This dude is a dead ringer for you. Well, Mark replies back that, yeah, it's me.
Oh, my God.
Well, here what had happened was he got a new cell phone number, and it happened to be some girl's old number, apparently. So he was the lucky recipient. So he was getting like these he's getting dick pics, I guess. And, like, hey, baby, I miss you and all that shit. So Mark is texting back, look, I'm not this girl, this is not my phone or whatever. So for whatever reason, he thought that it would be a great idea to go put on his mom's makeup, take a selfie, and send it back to the dude and say, see, I told you, or maybe this is what you really want. Well, the guy didn't like that too much, so now he's got his picture. He's got the cell phone number. They put a fucking ad out on Craigslist.
Oh, my God.
He was like, just block the fucking number. Where would you think that was a great idea to put on your mom's makeup, take a selfie, and send it to a total stranger with your cell phone number?
Watch this. This is going to be
I'll
great.
show him.
Yeah. Oh. Jesus.
The magic of Craigslist.
This guy's a Craigslist master. He does all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. When they get back and forth, like they just sent him. What started the whole Craigslist thing is one of the guys. He did it twice to two different guys. And they know he's always looking to buy a car. Says, hey, I found this car. You're going to love it. It's really you. And he's like, yeah, right. He says, no, really. And he's really building this car up. So now he's got him on the hook. And he says, when I get a chance, I'll take a picture of it. Well, he takes a picture of this for whatever reason. Someone built a car that's shaped like a cock and balls. Out of fiberglass.
What? Okay.
And sent it to him. He's like, you're a jerk off. You really had me convinced this was like a real car, So that's why you got even with the Craigslist tag with the PS4 station and the gangster rap.
And what happens is it just one-ups one up.
Oh, it's like the Cold War. It's an escalation.
Yeah, it never stops.
Yeah. It's all fun and games till someone gets hurt.
I know. All right, so our last story of the night. It's about a podcaster. Actually, this is it's weird, and because I know of this guy, like I've seen him before. I've watched, he was on a podcast. It was also a part of a video podcast, and I've seen him.
Like a blogger, I guess.
Yeah, well, what happens, there's a podcast called the Podcasters Roundtable. And what the guy does, he invites other podcasters in, and they talk about a topip, whether it's, I think this topic was about, podcasting and using Skype. For interviews and stuff like that. So this guy was four people, five people in a panel, and they were all talking about this. And I watched this, so I kind of know
know of them.
Them.
Well, I know what you mean, because when you're a podcaster,
right
people.
So I don't want to use his name.
Well, it's in the news, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Where'd you get the article at?
It was in the news.
Well, it's in the San Antonio.
Right.
Okay.
Atheist activist kills wife and himself in suspected murder-suicide. Scott Smith, a military veteran, atheist activist, reportedly killed himself and his wife, who was planning to file for divorce. Smith was also known advocate of mental health awareness. See, again, this makes no sense. He and his wife were found dead after a suspected murder-suicide, according to the San Antonio police. McManus said that the couple was found dead in the upstairs portion of their home. Police heard 2 gunshots prior to the discovery. The handgun was used in the shooting. The man called 911 around 10:41 a.m., threatened to hurt himself and his wife. Police spokesman said, SWAT team was called to the home, but they never made contact with the man. Prior to committing the act, Smith went to Facebook and posted a cryptic message that only said goodbye. Many of his friends commented with supporting words. Some suspected his post-traumatic stress syndrome might be a possible cause. And all it says right here, it's on Facebook. It just says
bright red background.
Goodbye, white letters. Anthony Magnabuso, a secular activist and advocate of street. Why do I even try with this word?
Epistemology.
There we go.
Or epistemology.
Right. Told me he had lunch appointment with Smith that was abruptly canceled. Smith had canceled the meeting and then made a post on Facebook prompting him to check in at Smith's house. So Smith was a husband, a father, and a co-host of the Recovering from Religion podcast.
I've heard of that.
Recovering from Religion?
Yeah. I've heard of the podcast.
I went there, and I don't see any podcast on the website anymore. It's
Well, I'm sure they scrubbed it.
Took it down. Yeah, it's a sin. And then another podcaster committed suicide. I didn't know him.
Was it over downloads? And Libsyn's new.
Funny you say that, because that's the first thing I thought of. I was like, what? Look at these downloads.
No 100th episode.
Right. Oh. Well, let me tell you about that. The Bad Cop, before, I don't know if I told you this beforehand or during the show, they actually recorded their 100th episode.
Oh, wow, good
and
news.
It's out there now. I was listening to it before we came on the air. I haven't listened to the whole thing. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, they're backed up. They were gone for 3 weeks. So
the one part was Dave said, I think John was rooting for us to leave because he wanted to start doing our bits. So now I didn't want to start doing your bits. I just wanted you guys to do your bits because I love the show. So, all right. So why I'm talking about this is that this is one of the times of the year where it's winter, it's cold. It gets dark earlier.
Baby, it's cold.
Baby, it's cold outside.
It all comes down to the rape fantasy.
Again, there are times. I remember I was joking last week when my back went out,
mm-hmm.
and I said when I crawled to my bed, I said if there was a gun in my nightstand, I would have shot myself.
Mm-hmm.
I was serious.
Mm-hmm.
I was serious because I had about enough of this pain, enough of all this other bullshit. And then you see somebody that actually does this.
Yeah, but you say you were serious, but I know you weren't.
I understand that. So then, this is going to sound really fucking crazy. All right, so let me get, the reason I brought this story up and the reason I even did this is because there's been all this suicide talk, in front of me for the past 2 weeks. So remember when I bitched about Doug and Anthony, how they always, crying for money on Patreon?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I didn't realize, it was an inside joke between the two of them. Whenever they screw up a bit, they're like, hey, why don't you just give us $1 on Patreon?
I thought you knew that.
I had no idea. I was fucking stupid. So I said, you know what? Here.
You know what happened? You heard Patreon. You immediately got on your white steed and you're going to charge in there. So
what I did was I went in as a Patreon. I said, here's $12. Now shut the fuck up. So what they do is Doug put out a episode that only comes out to Patreon subscribers. And it was, again, I love real stuff, real stories, real people talking about real life.
Mm-hmm.
And Doug's had a very colorful past.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he was talking about this one portion where he kind of sort of tried to commit suicide, kind of sort of turn himself in, and what happened through that whole.
Yeah, he mentioned that on the last podcast.
Right. So let me just say this to you. It's worth $1 to go over to their Patreon and go over there and listen to that episode. It's worth $1.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it was riveting, and I listened to the whole thing. So that happened. And then there was another podcast. Where's my stupid phone? Let me get this, because if you ever
stupid phone.
Yeah. If you're ever really making plans, or if you're going to do something, the one thing that I heard about this was it's really a long-term solution to a short-term problem.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you're going through usually will get better. It's not something that you would need to
end it all.
I mean, you have family and stuff like. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now. If I ended up with cancer, and I've seen people go through that, or what your father had,
mm-hmm.
To be able to do, I would just take a big boatload of pills and applesauce and end myself. I would just end it.
Yeah, like Heaven's Gate.
Yeah, just like that. I can understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Say your goodbyes and all that, but I'm not going through this. I'm not having people wipe my ass. I'm not going through all that. I'm just not doing it. All right. So the podcast is called The Hilarious World of Depression. And the latest episode was with a woman by the name of Anna Marie Cox. And it's about her. She attempted suicide, but she didn't take enough medication. I think she tried to overdose.
Sometimes that's worse because you wind up paralyzed and fucked up.
Well, she's fine. She woke up and she made it through and all that stuff. But then she talks about the episode is, how long is a stupid episode? Sorry, I don't mean to say stupid. The episode's an hour and 22 minutes long.
Not too long.
And the whole thing was amazing. I mean, just her telling that story. So, we lost 2 podcasters already. And from what I understand and from what I see with a lot of the podcasters, a lot of us are introverts. And a lot of us have...
Introverts?
Introverts, yeah.
Believe it or not. Extroverts?
No, introverts.
Really?
Yeah, because we can do it in here. But if we have to go outside, we can do it. Podcasting's perfect for introverts because we're in our own basement, we're in our own environment. If we had to go out and do this in front of a crowd or perform in front of a crowd, it would take a lot of energy to do this. I don't know about you, but when I get done this, like I love doing this and everything, but when I get done doing this and I turn the microphones off and we're done, I'm spent. I'm done. I'm all tuckered out. So what I'm saying is that if you're having an issue where you're feeling blue, because every once in a while people get a little sad, there are places where you can go and get help.
Yeah, they're called Corvette dealerships.
Yes, that's what you do. Go to the Corvette dealership and put yourself $60,000 into debt.
Hey, works for me.
That's true.
So I tell people, because remember, no matter at the end of the day, no matter how bad things get, I realize I have a Corvette.
Oh, it works for you.
Yeah. Okay. And then I got the second one. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Things are really shitty today, but I've got 2.
So for me, it's like, guess what?
You couldn't get in a Corvette.
I couldn't get in a Corvette, but for me, it's like, oh, I have a podcast where I can come and talk and get my anxiety out and stuff like that.
Did you used to go to therapy?
I did go to therapy.
Did you dabble in that?
I did dabble in therapy for a while.
How did that go for you? I mean, I'm serious. I'm not trying to make a joke or nothing.
I'll tell you exactly how it went.
How long did you go?
I went through on 4 different occasions. 4 different occasions I went. All right, so back...
4 different problems or the same problem just 4 times?
4 different problems.
Okay.
4 different times in my life.
Okay.
So like back in 1995, when a certain person moved out of my house and took all the furniture, I had a little problem getting over that. So I went to a therapist, and she really... Actually, to be honest with you, she really talked me through a really bad time and made it where... I got way more confidence in myself than I ever had before. Okay, so that was the first time. The second time I had an issue with therapy was when I was in my marriage. We were having problems with my stepdaughter, and we went to therapy. And I like that, but the problem was that, okay, so this is what happens. We go to therapy because we have to figure out how to get along as a family. Me, my wife, and my stepdaughter.
Okay. All the parties involved.
All parties. She's 14, 15 years old. Teenage girls.
They know everything.
Exactly.
Just like teenage boys. They know everything too.
Right. So we're going in there. So for the first thing that happens is I walk in, right, and I sit down, and the lady takes one look at me, and she's like, what's going on with you? Like, what's this with the overweight? What is this? What's going on here? So we go through my whole thing. We go talk about my problems, my issues, and they're like, yeah. Okay. About 4 weeks of that, then the therapist turns around and starts talking to my wife and to my stepdaughter about the issues that's going on with them. One time, they were out. They were out. They're like, I'm not listening to this. Meanwhile, I'm getting tag teamed,
right,
gang raped over here, and I'm sitting there listening to it because for the greater good. And so then they bailed, and I was like, okay, so I'm done with that. Okay. The latest time I went.
Did anything good come out of that?
They tried putting me on medication,
No, I mean out of that.
Yeah, I got divorced.
Oh, well.
That was the best thing. I was like, this is fucking great.
Because you told me about the medication thing before, and I don't know
the
if you want to get into that or not.
Yeah, well, they put me on medication. It didn't work. It did the opposite. Like, I'd be working in the elevator business, and I'd be, something, if I stepped off the car, none of this, I wouldn't have any more problems.
Right.
And then when I stopped taking the medication, I didn't have those thoughts anymore.
Yeah. I don't want to take that.
Right. So they tried 3 different medications. For some reason, my brain doesn't like it. It has the opposite effect. So,
well, you're vastly independent.
Right.
You're strong-willed and independent, and that's not the medication that That's how you'll react. You're like, I don't like this medicine.
So then they said to me, well, listen, if you can't take medication, you really should go back to therapy. I said, I don't really like therapy. And this is why I don't like therapy. I'm sorry if you therapists out there, send all your hate mail
to John.
brandxpod@gmail.com.
Care of John.
And tell me why I'm wrong. So you go, all right? And if I go to a doctor, I just went to the doctors for the first time in a year and a half because they were yelling at me because I haven't been going to the doctors. Mm-hmm. So I go to for the first time in a year and a half, and I go through the whole physical. And I said, okay, what's going on? And she goes, okay, you're fat. All right, so I'm fat. So she tells me I'm fat.
You go, Captain Obvious.
Right. So now I'm fat. So she's like, oh, you got to do some exercise. I said, well, hard time walking. She goes, well, can you lift? I said, well, of course I can lift. I mean, I got to pull my fat ass out of a chair, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I have pretty good upper body strength, to be quite honest with you. It's the lower portion of my body.
Yeah, your knees are blown out.
Knees, lower back, all that nonsense. If I could cut myself off at the waist and put on a new lower unit, I'd be fine. So she's like, well, start lifting weights and all this other. She gives you things to do. She tells you what to do. Take this, take some vitamin, she tells you what to do. You go to a therapist and you go in there and you tell them, you talk to them about whatever you have.
What do you think?
What do you think? What do you mean, what do I think?
Yeah, you're like Counselor Troy on Next Generation.
Exactly. They don't tell you anything. They don't tell you what to do. They're sitting there. It's a racket, okay? They don't tell you nothing. You're sitting there. So now I'm in there for like 4 weeks. I'm out of stories, right? So now I'm writing fucking material to go in and talk to this fucking lady. I'm thinking to myself, if I can do an hour every day for her, I'm in there performing like a fucking monkey.
You were going every day?
I'm sorry, every week.
Oh, okay.
I would go every week. And
you were really fucked up.
Right. So I'm going in there every week. I got nothing to tell her. So I'm sitting there like, I'm writing story. I'm trying to think about, what happened in my childhood? What could this be? I'm doing material for an hour. If I was a comedian, I could sell. Who does an hour's worth of? Who does a new hour every week?
Right.
Who does a new hour every week? So finally, I said, I had about enough of the therapy because she's just sitting there and looking at me, staring at me. Like you're staring at me right now, not saying a word, doing that. So I look over at her.
Interesting. Why don't we touch back on this?
So I look at her and I go, I've been here 6 weeks. You haven't told me anything. She goes, well, it's not for me to say. You have to figure it out on yourself. Well, why the fuck am I here? Yeah. Why do I need you to figure it out by myself?
That's why friends in bars are better.
Yes. So I go, now my eye's twitching, okay? Because I'm about ready to lose my shit. I honestly think what happens is I grew up in a time where when you got mad, you spoke your mind. You said what was on your mind.
You vented.
You had it out. It was no big deal. It was like there's a big buildup. There's a thunderstorm, and all the clouds clear. The sun comes out. The birds start chirping, and everything's fine until you get that buildup again. And that's the way it was my whole life. Well, now we can't have that anymore. We can't have those blow-ups because that's antisocial. You can't have that. So now we have to sit here and we push everything down. It's like you keep tamping it down. And then, your eye starts twitching and you can't. So they want to give you medication so you don't explode.
Yeah. Make money off you.
Right. So I said to her, I looked her straight in the eye. I said, well, I'll tell you what, somebody's got to be telling me something soon or I'm out of here because I'm out of material. I said, for the past 2 weeks, I'm writing material to come in here to talk to you for an hour. And I'm done being your dancing monkey. So tell me something to work on. Tell me something I need to do. Tell me something that I told you that you can tell me to do something about. That's not how this works. So that's it. I'm done. We're done. Okay? My last appointment, I don't need this. And I walked out. Yeah, who needs that bullshit? You're in there doing what? Crying about your problems? I don't need to cry about my problems. I need to be able to come on a place and vent, then go on to Twitter, reply somebody, and have them attack me for a week. So then I can attack them.
It's a nice catharsis.
Yes, that's what I need. I need some kind of back and forth. Or I need to be able to vent and say things that I need to say.
You need to thunder punch someone in the face. That's what you need.
I need to throat punch somebody. Right. It's like, yeah, it's what I need. I need to throat punch somebody. Because if you don't, the next thing you know, you're writing goodbye on Facebook and taking yourself out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, not good.
It's not good.
I was always intrigued about the whole therapy thing. That people, for whatever reason, never crossed my mind to I guess I'm fortunate that I've never, maybe I go see a therapist. Maybe they can help me with this. But there's people that to me, knowing them, they really didn't have any problems, but they just decided just because quite frankly, I think they thought it was like the trendy thing to do. Was just go see a therapist. Right. Just so that they say, yeah, I'm seeing a therapist.
The first time I went was I had a lot of problems with self-esteem, insecurities and stuff like that, because I had no game. I couldn't walk up and talk to somebody. I could not walk up and talk to a woman or anything I couldn't do that. And I'll tell you what, that therapist, I don't even know where she is anymore.
She's dead.
She's probably dead. She was good. So you know what she said to me? I can't even believe I'm saying this. Ooh. This might be cut out of this whole thing. She says, I'll tell you what I want you to do. I want you to get dressed up. I want you to go to a bar, and I want you to get rejected. I want you to go in and get rejected. I want you to keep getting rejected. Talk to a woman until she rejects you and just say, walk away. And I want you to keep doing that and come back next week. And I said, excuse me? She goes, yep. You need to get because you're so worried about getting rejected. It's no big deal. It's no sweat off your. Hey, you talk to them. If they're not interested, you just move on. The next bus shows up in 15 minutes. That's what she said to me. I said, okay. Get dressed up. Didn't take none of you clowns with me. So I go to a place by myself.
Gee, I'm hurt.
Yeah, listen, this isn't a team sport. So I went to the Coastline, Kaminsky, stuff like that. Sat at the bar, found someone, walked over, talked to them. Guess what? I didn't get turned down. I didn't get turned down at all.
Whores.
No, I don't know. Apparently, I'm a charming motherfucker. I wasn't. So when I came back,
they're like that pig on Green Acres.
Yeah, I'm one charming motherfucker. So when I came back the next week, she said, "What happened?"
I got 9 dates lined up.
I said, "Listen, I'm wearing out a set of hips over here." No, I'm kidding. But I'm just saying. No, I'm saying. So I said, "Yeah, listen, this was working out." She goes, "Yeah, I think we're done." Because that's all you needed to do was believe in yourself and be able to, whenever you think you shouldn't say something, say it. And that was the only time. The thing with my wife and my stepdaughter and all that was bullshit because they didn't want to hear it. That was all my problem. They didn't want to do the work.
It was all you, not them.
Right. They didn't want to do the work. And the last time, I think it's, to be quite honest with you, because you weren't allowed to, I wasn't allowed to say what I thought. You know, you have to be corporate.
Well, how long, let me ask you, I mean, if you don't mind.
Sure.
How long after that instance of that round of therapy until you and your wife got divorced? I mean, was it a good number of years, or was it like pretty soon after that where they walked out of the therapy sessions? And
like 6 months.
Oh, so it was pretty immediate.
Well, because what happened was I started taking things back. Like I started taking my life back. And then that's when the friction came because I didn't sit there and take it. And then the time when she said, you know what, you should go find a girlfriend. I said, you're right.
You know, that's generally that's usually a red flag. Like, you know, when they're encouraging you to go out and sleep around.
Right. So that was the end of that. Which, to be quite honest with you, was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because me and my ex-wife now have a fantastic relationship. We raise the kids together. We don't fight. We talk. We communicate. Because at the end of the day, I know what I cannot say and do. Like I know.
Well, you know what the rules are.
I know what the rules are. And here's the other thing. When she starts doing that other stuff, I just say, hey, guess what? Time to go. Got to go.
Right.
And I leave. And the same thing for her. So it worked out. In a way, it was the best thing that ever happened. Because what happened? Well, I was 35. I was never married. And I just said, hey, guess what? It's time to get married. So I went looking for
You that old?
I was 35. Yeah. I went to looking for a wife like you look for Corvettes.
Well, that doesn't usually work out.
Right, exactly.
If you part with a Corvette, it doesn't get half of what you own.
That's true. That's very, very true. All right, now that I just had my own therapy session on here. But again,
Dr. Deuce.
Right. If you're having issues and you're feeling blue, go talk to somebody. Don't end it all. Don't shoot your wife.
No.
Don't do all that because I'll tell you what.
Remember, the bartender is your friend.
Right. It rocked a lot of people in the podcasting where like a lot of people knew this guy.
Yeah, I remember seeing the name of that podcast out there. I didn't know that. Wow.
And unfortunately, I don't remember the other guy's name, what happened there. I don't really know that. But the guy that I just read, it's a sin. I mean, again, long-term solution to a short-term problem, which is a shame. All right. Want to wrap it up?
Sure, why not?
Why not? I had to go in and redo all the shout-outs.
I see that. They're in red and blue now.
Oh.
No more black.
No.
Okay. If you are looking for some other great independent podcasts to check out, we highly recommend these podcasts and the great people that podcast for us. And we'll start off with the Evening Radio Podcast with Jason and Mindy, part of the Hush Your Face Network. You can hear them live most of the time on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern.
My buddies are back. Bad Cop. Jerry and Dave just did episode 100. I'm about 40 minutes into it. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes, and I can't wait to go listen to it. So go check that out.
The Hoonan Show with Rocky, BB, Drew, and Josh, also part of the Hush Your Face Network.
Who's Right with Doug and Anthony, part of the Hush Your Face Network. And I'll tell you what, again, part of the podcasting community. Like, when I first listened to Doug's podcast, I didn't even know who Doug was. Mm-hmm. And, I gave him some tips about audio quality, and he listened and stuff like that. And he's been giving me tips about social media, and he has been giving me some graphics, like he's been playing in Photoshop and stuff like that. He's giving me some fantastic graphics I've been using on social media. Did a great job. Love them. Mm-hmm. And really appreciate the help that he's given us. Because to be honest with you, this thing can sound fantastic. The podcast can sound fantastic. It could be funny. It could be entertaining. It could be all that. But if nobody knows about it, it's just like pissing in the wind. All right. And he's been giving me a lot of help with that. And I really appreciate it.
The Bro-Rons podcast, Big D and Lil R, part of the Hush Your Face Network.
Pet and Meller with Matt Meller and Viva La Pedros, part of the Hush Your Face Network.
Horribly Awkward with Sean Fuller, also part of the Hush Your Face Network.
He reached out to us on Twitter when we were doing our Positive Cash Flow Friday instead of Black Friday.
Yeah.
And he wrote like all Fridays matter. So I think he got a kick out of that. Rob and Slim Show with Rob, Slim, Sleepy Lucas, part of the Hush Your Face Network. Slambo was back last week.
Oh, yeah?
Or was it the week before? Anyhow, he was back.
Cameo appearance.
Yeah, he was rocking it. Yeah. It was a good show.
The Toe on the Trigger podcast with Daniel Repholtz, Mike, and C3K, Courtney 3000.
Ooh, Matt Meller got a Facebook timeout.
Oh, what did he do?
He put a picture up of a woman with a beer glass in her hoo-ha.
Yeah, Facebook generally doesn't go for that.
She had a very unique beer holder.
Was it an IPA?
I don't know. I don't know where it was.
That's that bearded clam IPA ale that he was talking about.
Right.
Dr. Stinkpuss.
It was the vagina yeast ale that he was doing. The story behind with Emily Prokop. She's been off. Her husband. She's got a new baby. Mm-hmm. The other daughter. Husband's got mono.
Oh wow.
She's got her hands full.
Yeah.
But I hope she comes back soon.
Everyone has a podcast with Adam and Brian.
The Tom and Steve Show. Go check them out. My new best friend, Tom, Flat Earth Believer.
How often do they put out a show?
I think it's every other week. Okay, so
because they retool for a while and they came back.
So I listened to the last episode, and Steve was talking about he knew a guy who lived in Argentina, and there's an island in Argentina.
The Falklands?
Well, no, I don't know if it's not there. But anyhow, Hitler didn't die in a bunker in Germany.
Oh, I saw that article.
This guy knows that Hitler lived until the late 70s. Mm-hmm. Died as an old man. See? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you don't believe it.
No, I don't.
So it was a really good place.
Because in 1945, Hitler was 58 years old, I believe, in very bad health with Parkinson's disease. So I refuse to believe that he lived another 30 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe he just didn't eat soup.
Like, maybe he had that self-leveling soup like
that's
Michael J. Fox had.
Yes, now Michael J. Fox can eat soup.
Right.
That's a fantastic invention. See? That's all you need. What just happened? Oh.
I don't know what you did. I'm over here.
I did something, and all of a sudden Facebook disappeared. I was like, what just happened? It didn't.
No, we're still on.
I know. If you enjoyed the show, then please do us a favor. Tell a few friends. Even share this episode on your social media platforms. We would appreciate it. We are on Facebook at facebook.com/BrandXPodcast every Friday. Oh, well, that might not be true, so I shouldn't say that. We might be changing things up. We don't know yet.
Yep.
But anyhow.
Play it by ear.
Play it by ear. Facebook.com/BrandXPodcast. We are on the Twitter at BrandXPodcast. On the Instagram at BrandXPodcast. Just like and follow us and share it with your friends, and we would love it if you joined in the conversation. You can email us at brandxpod@gmail.com. You can also call the Times Yours voicemail. Why would you do that? If you wanted to, the number is 856-322-2473. Leave a message, and if we ever get a message, we will feature you in the next Time Yours segment. So thank you very much for listening.
And remember, it's Christmas. Everyone looks good in Brand X swag,
that
including social media Sir Lancelot types.
Oh, let's talk about that for a second. I was almost off. Almost off.
I sucked you back in.
Yes, I was almost out, and they drugged me back in.
Crazy.
So, Deuce goes, after we turned the mic off, we were kind of chuckling about this guy, James Feld, and he, from his website, he has this big picture of him on there.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's all over Google Images,
right.
too. It's
so it's
everywhere.
a blue T-shirt. So Deuce grabs the image and puts the Brand X logo on his T-shirt and makes him part of the cover art. Now, I tagged him several times in tweets. Uh-huh. I know he saw it. Not a peep out of him. Not a peep. So he wasn't giving it.
He surrendered.
I win. I win. All right.
He'll be in the artwork next time with a white flag. I'm done.
Absolutely.
Taunt me no longer.
Okay. Yes. And if you want some Brand X swag for your Christmas giving, for your Brand X fan, you can always go over to brandxpodcast.com/gear. It'll take you right over to our store, and they have T-shirts and hoodies and all kinds of good stuff over there. All right. We'll be back next week with another episode of the Brand X Podcast. Will you shut the fuck up so I can end the recording?
That's it. We're just getting into it.